All right, check. Y'all tuned in to another episode of Leading Be Legendary presents the LABL podcast. That's LABL podcast. And I'm your host, name tag Alexander. Make sure you take a moment to visit the website, leadingbelegendary.net. And make sure while you're there that you order some of that merch. Also, subscribe to the podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, even if you're on SoundCloud. But make sure you also leave a rating and also a review. Those ratings do help. Drop a comment if you're able to on SoundCloud or even on the review section, of course, on our Apple Podcasts. Anyhow, we getting right into episode 56. It features Grammy Award-winning Detroit's own Antea Birchett. She's from the singer-songwriter duo A+ with her sister Anesha Birchett as well. Very dope episode. We actually started it off. We didn't even begin talking about music. You'll get into it and see. We started talking about Mercury Retrograde. Very interesting topic. Get into this episode, man. Make sure you share it with your peoples. Oh, and at the end of the episode, I'm gonna make sure I play a little bit of the Nobody's song that's out right now. I actually premiered it on episode 55 with Suze Paulinski on the podcast, The Rockstar Advocate. It's called Nobody's, produced by Nameless. Very, very, very dope song. Of course, I'm going to say that because I did it, but I'm going to let you be the judge. And also go download. People streaming now, right? Stream. No, download it too. Keep it on your hard drive. Make sure you download Work, Win, Repeat. Stream it on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you stream your favorite music at. But also, like I say, check out the Nobody single. But we are going to get into this episode. I'm talking too much. Check it out.
On a quest to be, they expect the best of me. Working on perfection, it's definite that I strive to be the on a quest to be, they expect the best of me. Working on perfection, it's definite that I strive to be the on a quest to be, they expect the best of me. Working on perfection, it's definite that I strive to be the on a quest to be, they expect the best of me. Working on perfection, it's definite that I strive to be the working all around the clock. I do this or non-stop, I don't know when to chill or just put a foot to the brake and let the fluid.
How do you feel now that Mercury Retrograde is over?
Oh, Jesus. I'm cool. I'm cool. So I'm in and out about the retrogrades. I feel like I don't look for them. You know what I'm saying? But if I just happen to land in a rough patch where day after day, the same types of things are going wrong. And that's what happened this time around, where I was like, okay,
you start wondering.
Let me check the planets and see what's happening. And I was like, oh, full blown, And then once I found out there was a retrograde, I kept digging and saw the lunar eclipse and the full moon in Capricorn, I think it was. And it just, everything hit the fan. It was really crazy. But it's cool because, it was bad. I can't front. It was really, really bad. It was really, it changed literally everything in my life. Everything,
man.
But it's okay because now that we're in the shadow and it's dying down and you can kind of feel that the energy around us is a little bit more neutral. I can see, today is 8/8, the line is 8, so I can see I can see clearly, I feel, and there is some discomfort because I'm still adjusting to all the changes, but it's cool. I'm grateful, I see that it had to be, and if it wasn't gonna be then, it was gonna be eventually. You know what I'm saying? So.
Exactly. That when you explained it to me before, I was like, man, that sounded like when the last one took place, late November.
Yeah.
I had a rough late November all the way through December, and it just was like, man, I'll be glad when this is over. But it led for the better. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost it's weird that you have to go through it just to have a better experience moving forward.
Yeah.
And I almost feel bad for people that can't really, how you said, you was I just knew a series of the same type of things kept happening. So I had to go back and look okay, what is this really?
What's happening?
Clearly, you know what I'm saying? But it's people that don't even understand or realize what's going on. They just going through it.
Yeah,
so,
it depends on your life perspective too. If you're a seeker of the highest version of yourself, then you're when things get rough, you're not. It doesn't really make you be like, oh my God, my life sucks. It's okay, wait, what's happening? There's a shift. So let me figure out. Am I going in the wrong direction? Or, whatever, whoever your guides are, You know, is somebody trying to push me somewhere? Am I paying a karmic debt? Am I, you know, like you start to try to,
Yeah.
but if you are not in a space where you're trying to get to the highest version of yourself, you'll just be like, you know, I had a bad run in November, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, things got better, and that's that, you know? So it just, a lot of people, they don't, they can't even have a conversation about Mercury retrograde because they're like, oh, I don't believe in that, whatever. And that's cool, because that
that's
means
astrology.
Yeah, or they just feel like, you know, they're just not in that space in their life where it's like there's one, you know, as a friend of mine jokes about, there's one God Daddy, and God Daddy is in the sky, you know,
God Daddy in the sky.
Yeah, like Sky Daddy. And, you know, there's a list of right and wrong and be a good human and trying to go to hell. There's some people that's good enough for them, and that's the road they're supposed to take. And then there are the others that are like,
it's something else. It's something deeper.
that. Let me keep trying to figure it out. And that's why things like Mercury retrograde, astrology, even, you know, numerology, you know, spirit animals, tarot, however far you go, crystals, meditation, whatever, all of these things like help you figure out who's talking to me, what are you saying, and which way should I be going? You know what I'm saying? When you're trying to figure out how to change, how to be better, you know what I mean? So to answer the original question, I'm better now. I'm much better now.
Good.
Because at first I was like, really? This is what we're doing right now? Right in the middle of me trying to make life changes? Everything is going to just put a wall in front of me and say, no, I said go the other way. Really? Oh,
yeah, because it was in what sign this time around? Wasn't like it started out in like Cancer, then it went to Leo, I think, and then back to Cancer.
The full moon was in Capricorn, which is an earth sign, so super stagnant,
that's me.
like a wall. You gonna do what I say, whether you want to or not. Basically, it was horrible. And then we were right in the middle of Cancer season, so it was just all the watery emotions. It was just a mess. It was a complete mess, but it was a mess for the better, you know.
Right.
So
it feels way more balanced now. You mind if I keep this for the episode? This is dope.
Yeah,
this is a dope talk.
Yeah, you can keep it for sure.
We ain't even gotten to it yet, so just go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
This is Antea Birchett, Grammy Award-winning songwriter, owner of Teach What I Know, and co-writer with Anesha Birchett, comprises A+, signed to Universal, in these streets, writing and trying to make a difference on the planet.
Yeah, you was about to do the humble for a second, like, yeah, this is Antea Birchett. Like, oh, that's it.
Because it's so weird. Like, it's the weirdest thing, sitting talking about what I've done. Like,
No, I feel you. It's almost like you don't want to like force it. Like, well, I don't really. Let me not. I guess I do a humble brag. You know what I mean?
I mean, even I don't know. I don't know. I can't even tell you. It's never been one of my favorite things. I'm just like, yeah, I'm Antea. Hey, how you doing?
No, it's cool though. You guys are great. You know what I mean? Because you've been songwriting for about how long? What has it been, like 10 years, maybe more?
You mean professionally or just writing?
Or in general.
I've been a writer since I was a kid. It wasn't songs when I was a kid, but it evolved into songs when I was about maybe 12 or 13.
Word.
But it became professional. I would say late 90s, early 2000s. And then we signed our first publishing agreement in 2005. So we've been a part of the music industry, a part of the machine since 2005. But we were, networking and building up to getting a publishing deal from about, I wouldn't say late 90s. I would probably say 2000, 2001 was about when we were like, okay, this is who we are. We're a writing duo. Yeah. So it's been a long time.
With being that you had been writing, like you say, it started from when you was a child. Like, did you ever see yourself, like, becoming a independent or a niche artist for the most part, being able to write for others?
Yep, and I think that's why it happened. That's all we ever talked about. We would sit on the living room floor with my dad, and he would put, just to show you how the era I come from, he would put a cassette tape in the radio and would play the records that we were recording in the basement. And at the time we had a Tascam 4-track recorder, and I had learned how to record multiple tracks on a regular cassette tape and then bounce it over to one track, record more, bounce it over. And it was muddy, but we were learning to do tracks and write. And we would sit in the living room, and he would put the songs on, and we roll, and he would act like, these songs were up for Grammys, and would announce, and we did it often, like literally 2 or 3 times a week, where he would put songs on because he loved to hear the songs we were writing. My dad's a musician. And then we would visualize, like, we didn't know we were doing that. Of course, my dad didn't know we were doing that, but we made believe, like like, and it taught us early on to have this gift of being able to visualize and actually see ourselves in the studio with Darkchild, in the studio with Beyonce, walking up to accept a Grammy. You know, like we played around, quote unquote, with my dad, and I think that's why it ended up happening, because we really spoke it into existence, like literally.
As you should, and a lot of kids do that, and you know, you guys were fortunate enough to really just take it by the balls, basically, and just keep going with it. You know what I mean? So, man, that's just dope to hear that. Just that people probably like cassette tapes, like the younger folks listen, like cassette tapes. Like, what is that? Like,
that's so vintage and so,
man.
And
you have to put like the paper at the top of the. Oh wow, just to get the proper dub.
Listen, let me tell you, yeah.
So when you started out, because you mentioned, you know, Darkchild as well. Like, when did that first place? I guess I would say placement, because clearly he worked with other artists. But like, when did that come about? You recall the year, like what project it was?
Mm-hmm. Well, we signed in 2005, October 2005, and at the time I was a music director and an on-air host at a gospel station in Detroit.
Okay.
And we both signed, and Anesha moved to the East Coast, but I didn't, because I had a job, you know what I'm saying, and it was a good job, and I had been in radio for a while, and I loved it, and I thought I was going to be able to, you know, stay in radio and write my little songs from Detroit and all that. And Rodney basically was like, nah, like, if you don't drop everything and come out here, you're gonna lose your spot. So I abruptly, in January 2006, put my 2-week notice in, and by March we were in the studio with Beyonce. That was our first, like, it was immediate. Like, we went from going to choir rehearsal every Saturday, working a job. Anesha was in college, to being in the studio with Beyonce. It was like so abrupt, and it was jarring, because, you know, we didn't even really know what we had. Just knew that we were two church girls from Detroit, and we may not never get another opportunity that big to get out. You know what I'm saying? So we signed it. You know, the lawyer was like, and the deal was not negotiable. Like, they were like, you signed it as is. And the lawyer was like, I wouldn't do this. But everybody else, all industry friends, everybody was like, y'all better sign that contract. You'll figure out how to get out of it. But you need to get out of Detroit. So we did. And then we were in the studio with Beyonce. But the actual placement that was first was Need a Boss on Sharifa. That was the first record that actually played.
Why does that song sound so familiar?
Yeah, it was a big record then. She only had 2 big songs. She had Need a Boss and Cry No More, and then she just kind of disappeared into the ethers.
Because for me, 05, I'm fresh, like I'm a year out of high school. But then you said like Beyonce, like y'all really like just jumped right into working with her. And this is like her. She's like big. Yeah, clearly she's not like the Beyonce she is today.
No,
but that was fresh.
It was B-Day. Yeah.
And then back then, because that's right. Well, that's like her second album, so I can imagine like this is a different time where you couldn't just really just put the project together and immediately have it out. Like nowadays, it was, you know, you prepping the record and everything. There's a little bit more time that's put into it.
It was a crazy
amazing
process. Yeah, like she was only dating Jay-Z at the time. Like, I remember she came to the studio one day. We spent 3 weeks with her. She came to the studio one day all dressed up, and he was coming to pick her up for a date, and he came in, you know, and all of us was like, I mean, hella starstruck, like, oh my God. And she was like a giddy little girl. It was crazy. It was almost like just being in a movie. But it was a songwriting camp, and it was a bunch of different teams there. Sean Garrett was there. It was the Darkchild camp. It was Makiba, and it was a bunch of other people. We all had rooms. We were in Sony Studios in New York, which is closed now. And we all were battling it out, literally, like 3 weeks of battling, like down, not to even songs, just line to line, like trying to get on songs, like trying to get your name on the Beyonce project. You know, it was really, really crazy. It was really a crazy process. Like, and for that to be our first one, I was like, yo, this is wild, man.
Was this the only project you guys like worked with her on, or it was like more afterwards?
That was
it was just B-Day was a fire album. That's the one that had Irreplaceable, and the one that Deja Vu was just a sleeper.
That's right.
A lot of people sleep on that joint. What was the song though? Actually,
here's what made it crazy. So, a lot of people don't know the truth about Deja Vu. Deja Vu was the lead single out on that.
Word.
But we didn't write on Deja Vu, but Deja Vu was out of our camp. This girl named Delisha, her name then was Delisha Thomas. It's Delisha Johnson now, because she got married. But she was the third Darkchild girl. It was 3 of us, me, Anesha, and Delisha. Delisha, Makeba Riddick, and Kelly Nicole wrote Deja Vu long before that writing camp ever happened, long before the song existed. But they played it for Beyonce. She loved it. She cut it, and then it was just kind of sitting in the kitty. Nobody touched it again. Then we ended up writing a record or co-writing a record with Beyonce. It was me, Anesha, Delisha, Beyonce, LaShawn Daniels. We wrote a record called Back Up, and it was a monster. It was a monster record. But, and this is the part of the story that people don't know. So it was a whole lot of us there. Rodney had brought all the writers, all the producers. So in our room, it was the 3 original members of Darkchild, Rodney, Shiz, and Freddie. And then it was the 3 Darkchild girls and 2 producers and his engineer. And we were like running up a huge budget in the room. And it was just a lot of people. And then Beyonce would be in the room, and her cousin Angela would be there, and Solange would be there. So it was a lot of people. So after about 3 weeks, Matthew Knowles was like, yo, like y'all room is too expensive. Like y'all gonna have to send some of these people home or send them back to the hotel. Like we're not gonna be feeding these people every day. So that was the end. That was one side of it. The other side of it was Sean Garrett. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's
songwriter.
Yeah. He showed up in the middle of the camp, and him and Shiz got into it, like almost to blows in the studio, where basically Sean Garrett was like, man, y'all in here being whacked with these corny lyrics. Like, I'm about to like, it got crazy. So when you coupled that with our room getting too expensive, it was like, Rodney was like, yo, okay, girls, y'all just go back to the hotel. Chip, and there was another producer, he sent them back to Jersey. And then just Rodney, Freddie, and Shiz kept hashing it out, trying to get records on the project, and nothing landed. So what ended up happening was we all left, and then Makeba and Sean Garrett took over once we were gone. And they ended up scrapping mostly all the stuff that we had done. And Makeba ended up really being the winner on that project. So much so that when she was doing interviews for MTV and all that, she was telling all this stuff about how she wrote Deja Vu, blah, blah, blah. But what really happened was they collectively wrote it together, but the real story hadn't come out. So it was just when I tell you that for that to be the first experience, I was like, oh my God.
Like welcome to the music industry.
Oh, it was a whole lot. It was a whole lot. So it was cool.
Man, so it was, of course, it was Beyonce. I believe I read as well Justin Bieber. Also, well, let's get on Justin Bieber, because I'm imagining this is the time where he's just coming out.
Yep, it was his very first EP, My World.
Okay. And this had Baby on there, right?
No, Baby was the second one. I think. Oh wait, I don't. You know what? I don't know. I don't.
Because I was about to say that's when he jumped out the gate with the Baby joint.
I believe so.
The skating rink and everything.
Yeah. We actually started writing that record originally it was for Adrienne Bailon, and it was a girl record where she was basically talking about I'm his favorite girl. And at the time we were dealing with, I can't think of, Shani was one of the A&Rs, whatever. Anyway, but she was A&R and Justin Bieber, who at that point was it's this young white kid. I'm telling y'all, he's going to be super famous. That's basically the conversation. And she was like, yo, y'all need to change this record from being for Adrienne to be for Justin. And we did. We did the record with D-Mile. We changed it. Played it for the label. They loved it, and that was that. Justin cut it. And Anesha got a chance to go to Atlanta and vocal produce with him. I never got a chance to meet Justin because I was still, I don't know what was going on. I don't know where I was, but I didn't go to Atlanta. Anesha and Delisha did. And they vocal produced it. It's a video floating around on YouTube with them in the studio and them eating chicken wings and all kinds of whatever. So that was a cool one.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think I read this too. Mary J.
Yep, never met her.
Okay, never. So Anesha the one that met everybody. You like, no, I just kind of felt bad.
No, and neither one of us met Mary. I've met most of the people. Justin was the only one that I didn't get a chance to get in with. With Mary, it was your classic music industry story. We had done a bunch of records. We submitted them to the label. She loved In the Morning. She got the stems, got the track, cut it, and that was the end of that. The album that came out.
Y'all got paid.
That's
so
it. You know what I'm saying? So,
at the end of the day.
That was that, you know?
You know what I mean? Now, the ones that are more current, when I read this, I was like, oh, shit. Y'all wrote for her.
Yeah.
Please tell, because, listen, she's, like, one of my favorite. as a recent, so like which one did you guys cut? Because this is the Grammy
This
win,
is the
if I'm not
Grammy.
mistaken, correct?
Yep,
Okay,
this is the
what
Grammy.
joint?
We did the
I
record
bet it's
Gone
my
Away.
favorite. Oh my God,
We
yes.
did Gone Away. Yeah, it's a dope record.
That's the one that's on, not the first one, where it was just like
it's
the
on
all
the full
blue
album.
silhouette.
It's
Okay, yeah, because I
what
remember.
she did was she just combined both of the EP.
Right.
So
Yep.
I think it was on the second EP. I don't know, but it's on the whatever she releases the full album. That's where it is.
Yeah, very dope, very dope. Teyana Taylor as well. So this is like, I'm assuming early Teyana, not early like literally when she's fresh off the, the Sweet 16 run, but somewhere like she's on good music at this time when you guys wrote for her.
It wasn't that long ago. It wasn't long ago. It was well, no, that's a lie. It was a long time ago. Just some of these things they feel like just recent because we're friends with Teyana. So like even though we haven't put any music out anymore, like I was with her earlier this year in Miami and she's still trying to rev up and do music and all that. Like, like that's my friend. So it feels like that just happened, even though it didn't.
Well, her albums are kind of far apart too, though.
Yeah,
like this
we
last one,
7.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she's only put out 2 albums. So she put out 7 and then she put out the one that Kanye did all the tracks to.
Yeah. See, that gap in between there is just like so far to where it's like, okay, so yeah, that makes sense. Now, how do you feel about the current landscape of R&B? Like, do you see it going more so back? And I mean, obviously it's going to evolve, but do you see it kind of balancing more with the traditional sound, or is it just evolving completely into something else?
Yeah, I honestly, like, I feel like there's one genre right now, period, and it's urban pop.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you could take a record like Old Town Road and you got a black kid rapping with a country singer. And then you take a record like Jumpsuit by 21 Pilot, and that's a band that's a rock band, but then they cut their verses in halftime and are doing syncopated sing-songy type stuff over it. So now it sounds like hip-hop rap. And then you take someone like H.E.R, who's doing R&B, and then we'll pull out an electric guitar and shred. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like this generation of writers and producers, the sound, it's so genre blended. It's just like a big melting pot of all these influences, So it's like, for the sake of trying to stay compartmentalized and organized, the charts will say R&B, they'll say pop, but I just feel like it's kind of everywhere. It's kind of like you look at H.E.R. If you listen to her whole album, it's a very smooth R&B emo kind of vibe, but then the record she just put out with Rodney is different. It almost feels like an acoustic country folk sound. Like if you took her voice off of it and put whoever on it, Zach Brown Band or whoever on it, Zach Brown Band is wrong example, but a country artist, it would sound like a country record because of what the track is. So it's like this big amazing opportunity for everything to be just blended. Like, in other words, you can just kind of do what you want. You know what I'm saying? You're
talking about the record that she, I know she performed it on the BET Awards and YBN Corday.
It's a Stuck Between Your Love and a Hard Place.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's one of my favorites. Yes,
it's a great record.
Okay.
It's so well written. The guitars are in the forefront, when normally R&B is keys, bass heavy, synth, and you hear that, but you hear the guitars more than anything. It's what's driving it, So it's crazy how everybody's taking the Michael Jackson role.
Right.
You can do a R&B song, but you can turn around and do a rock song, and everything's still okay. It's really cool.
Yeah, because Hard Place felt like when it came on at first, I was like, it's kind of got like a country vibe, but then the drums dropped, and I was like, okay, now it's R&B. So yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. That makes perfect sense. I thought you were talking about the record she performed on the BET, where I forget the name of it, but it reminds me of the one song with Michael Jackson. Is it called Earth? I forget what it's called. And he's like in the video. Earth Song. Yeah, Earth Song. Yeah, it reminds me of that almost, like a version of it today. So yeah, I thought you were speaking on that at first. Now, you have, well, no, you know what I'm going to ask you? Because that's what I've been waiting to ask you. Because you're a songwriter, so name me your top 5 influential R&B songs.
Ooh.
Top 5.
I mean, as far as what? Lyrics, melody, chords? That's a hard one. Nobody's ever asked me that before.
If you can mesh them all together, like lyrics, the melody, the chorus, and just come with a top 5 from that. Like literally the songs that you feel like, oh man, that song like impacted my life in such a great way.
Ooh, okay. I would say,
I knew it was gonna be tough.
yeah, that's a hard one, because the thing is, I've grown up listening to every type of genre equally. But that's why it's crazy that we write a lot of urban pop or R&B music. But my Anesha is way more R&B hip hop than I am. Like my top 5s, that is hard. So I can't put them in any order from.
Oh no, ain't got to be in order. Yeah.
So I would say, I'm trying to think of the artist that moved me over my life, has moved me the most. Probably my number one favorite artist from childhood up until now would be Boyz II Men. That's always going to be a staple. But my favorite by them, I always like the B-sides. You know what I mean? So from Boyz II Men, it would be Please Don't Go.
I knew you were going to say that, because that's such a B-side record that got so much love.
Good. It's like the best. It was the best. That one. The next artist would be Stevie Wonder. But the song, and the thing is, this particular album was not considered one of his R&B albums. It was more synth. But the record is called Free, and it's on Characters.
Okay.
But it for all intent and purposes, it's Stevie Wonder, so it would be R&B to me. I'm trying to think of records that would be heavy on repeat. Bad Religion, Frank Ocean.
Okay.
That record, yeah.
Okay, so that's 3. Yeah, it's a Boyz II Men, Stevie, Frank. Okay.
I would say I gotta give you a Michael Jackson one, but let me think good and hard about it. Oof.
I want to guess it, but I'm not.
Michael Jackson would probably be. Get on the floor.
Okay.
Dance with me.
This is what, Off the Wall?
Yeah,
okay.
Like the whole Off the Wall album, like that's a hard one. But it would be between that and I Can't Help It, those two.
Okay. So that's still early, Michael, because Thriller is when it really was like, it was already big, clearly, but Thriller just like what took it through the roof. Okay, so Off the Wall, Michael. Cool. Okay, so that's 4.
I'm trying to think of something that I keep on repeat right now. That is a rough one. I'm very moody over the past 5 or 6 years of my life when it comes to music, like very moody.
For Michael, I wonder if she's gonna say "Baby Be Mine" off Thriller. Like no one ever names that. No one ever names that, but that's like one of mine. I'd be like, that's up there.
That's a good record. And let me think. Right now, man, I don't know. That 5th one is hard. Because it's just R&B, that's rough, because mostly what I'm listening to is not R&B. You know what? I would have to say Show Me by John Legend.
Is that off of I want to guess, the second album?
I don't think it's on an album. I think it's on a movie soundtrack.
Oh, okay.
Because no one ever knows it when I tell them. They're just like, what? But the chord progressions and the lyrical content is just amazing.
Yeah, I'm trying to guess. I'm like, well, I know the first album was Get Lifted. The second album, I never get the name of the second album correct. But he has some joints on there too. Okay, that's dope. Okay, yeah. Dope, so top 5.
And it'll probably be different in 2 weeks. I can name you 5 completely different ones.
You're an artist. It's gonna switch.
You put me on the spot, so
it's never gonna say the same, especially with artists. Now we said the top 5 songs, but what about your top 5 songwriters, not including yourself?
Top 5 songwriters
or your sister.
That one's easy. Number 1 would be Stevie Wonder.
Okay.
Number 2 would be Diane Warren. Number 3 would be Carole King.
Okay.
Number 4 would be Sia. And number 5 would be Frank Ocean.
Frank Ocean is nice. Now Sia, that's the Well,
gonna swing
yeah,
from the
Chandelier.
chandeliers.
Yeah, the 1, 2,
She
3,
is a
1, 2, 3.
monster. Woo!
Yeah, incredible.
Her songwriting is so, between her and Frank Ocean, like I'll be sitting in my car drowning in a pool of tears because their lyrical content with the melodies, I'll be like, oh my God, it's what they just say.
Chandelier was the joint. Was it like the chick was dancing in the room, like she
In
was
the
blindfolded or something? It was like, yeah, I
they were in
remember
the
that.
cage.
Yeah.
Crazy record.
What
Crazy.
happened is, I mean, I'm pretty sure she's still writing, but yeah, Chandelier was fire. I need to add
Yeah.
that to a playlist. I forgot about Chandelier.
Yeah,
That was
great.
fire. So talk about, you have this program called Teach What I Know. I see you promote it on Instagram like heavy. Yeah. Talk about that, because that's you. Like solo is, and I watched one of those videos, and I literally watched one of the videos like you did one of the online seminars. And I went on there. I said, dang, I feel like I need to go try to write an R&B record or something like this. The way he was breaking it down, I said, it is not easy. I know it's not easy for like someone that doesn't do it. But I was like, man, for that day, I just like, I always play around and I joke around, like, you know, harmonize a little bit or just be melodic. That's just based on from my family. But I was like, man, I kind of want to get into that like a little bit. I forget the song, but talk about that though. I don't want to ramble. Talk about the program that you got.
So Teach What I Know is a music education company. And I've been an educator. I've been a private voice trainer since my early 20s. My background is in opera. I had a full ride to Wayne State to do opera straight out of Cass Tech. And it didn't pan out the way that I wanted it to. And the reason why it didn't was because I ended up with some vocal problems. And that's that's the short version of the story, what led me into being a voice educator, personal study and all of that, what I learned in school, trying to help out my friends so people didn't end up on the same road that I ended up with vocal issues. But then fast forward, you know, some 20 years later, and the company is called Teach What I Know, because not only have I been a voice instructor, I teach songwriting, I do music consultations and webinars. So that's really the foundation of it. I'm recently rebranding it. But the foundation of it is webinars and songwriting masterclasses. So it's really set up to be able to have access to the knowledge that I have, from songwriting and the structure and the devices and the methods, all the way to vocal techniques, how to stay healthy vocally, to, you know, music business stuff, you know, from publishing to PROs and the trends and how things are changing, marketing, branding, all that in the music industry. So because I've been in the industry for so long, I've really picked up a lot. And because I'm a seeker of knowledge, I pick it up and it stays. And then I want to share it. And that's where it came from, where I'm like, you know what? I know a lot about a lot, but it's all music. So that's why I say it's a music education company, because I'm literally teaching what I know.
Super dope. And that's what drew me towards it, because I saw that you was I forget what was going on. I think this was around the time of the Music Modernization Act, where they were pushing that and getting everybody to sign. I saw you talking about it then. I said, oh, she's on the same tip. I said I wasn't going to do it, but you said Cass Tech graduate. I said, okay. I'm alumni as well. So I tried.
Oh, word.
Yeah, 04. So I was like, I said I wasn't going to do it because I was just talking to one of the homies who podcast. And I was like, man, it was just a group that I came across on Facebook. And they just had like so many celebrities that graduated from Cass Tech just over the years. And I said, I didn't even know she was it's nothing you would just know. Like they just literally don't announce it or say it in interviews unless asked clearly, or they just really going in depth of their history. So I'm just I said, wow, like really? And I was just telling one of the homies, I said, man, like it's weird how it seems like we're one of the only high schools that were like, where it's almost like a fraternity / sorority in a sense.
It really is. It really is. It really is. Like to this day, like people who I didn't even know that went to Cass or graduated, like I'll run into somebody that graduated the year I graduated, and it's all love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's the craziest thing. Like Cass is such a gem. Like it really is a gem.
I've gotten a job like that because the supervisor was a Cass graduate or whatever. So he said, yeah, I said you went to Cass. I was like, yeah,
we look out for each other. We look out. If somebody be like, yeah, I graduated from Cass, word, what you need, I got you. Like it's crazy. The love is real.
Yeah, same. I went to my last car dealership I went to, same thing. The guy, Cass graduate or whatever. I was like, wow, this is like really, so it's like, it's different. Like the whole conversation just shifts. Like I was talking to somebody, we were out in public and she recognized, like, we're from the same graduating class and we didn't communicate like that or anything. Everybody had the cliques and all that. But So one of the guys that was nearby, he said, "Oh, you guys know each other?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh, from all high school." So, what school you graduate from? I was like, Cass. And he kind of like gave a snarl. I was like, dude, it's just like, it's school. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but that's weird. It's just like that connection there. And when you said it, I was like, I didn't want to interrupt. I said, I'm gonna just wait. I'm not gonna do it. That's dope. That's what's up. What else did I want to ask you? That might have been it.
Cool.
We might have covered everything. As I said, I wasn't gonna take up too much of your time. So go ahead and drop your socials where they can find you at and the website for your brand, because I thought this was a very dope episode, very informative.
Cool. So you can find me on Instagram at Antea is a plus. You can also find me on Instagram at Teach What I Know. And you can also find me on Instagram at A plus the artist. And the website for my music education company is teachwhatiknow.com. And for songwriting is A plus the artist. There's an S at the end of artist. So A plus the artist.com.
Now let's not leave out the album, because I still play that album. That's
Pride Liberty Detroit. Pride Liberty Detroit. I mean, you can get it anywhere on all platforms.
Man, that intro, Pride Over Me is Strangers. Yeah. Oh, I love Strangers, man.
Thank you. Yeah. And we actually have a show coming up. It's our breakout. We coming back to the stage on August the 31st at Arts Beats and Eats on the R&B stage at 8:15, and we're performing all brand new music. You'll hear a couple of things off of Pride Liberty Detroit, but this is the first time actually it's being mentioned. We're gonna put it up on social media today or tomorrow.
Oh, I just got the exclusive. You just said,
yeah,
dope.
Yeah, so August the 31st, we're gonna be back on stage, and we both are a little nervous about it, to be honest, because it's new music. It's songs out of our catalog that we picked with our manager, and we're shifting directions as far as the sound to really do what it is that we want to do creatively as artists. So it's gonna be dope. I'm looking forward to it.
And they're still doing that in Royal Oak, right?
Royal Oak, that's right.
Dope. Sweet. Keep me posted on that. And I appreciate you for coming on. Like I said, I didn't want to take up much of your time. This is a very dope episode, very informative. I'm appreciative. Love it.
Let it breathe for a minute. Slum Village, what up? Had a hook that went something like, don't sell yourself to fall in love with those things you do. Don't sell yourself to fall in love. Oh, those things you do. She said that she could be well-grounded, keeping me focused. Make sure I keep going and not to deviate from my goal list. I'm grown, ain't trying to end up alone and old. And you ain't trying to be a well-owner alone at home. What's on your heart and your mind? We can have a discussion. Say you having difficulty when it come to trusting. Word, I listen and emphasize. Cause I know how it gets. The relationship goes getting missed as if the missile was misaligned and the relationship's a divide. Now you're left listening to some lines, songs on repeat, or either you decide to slide left when listening on Tidal or your Spotify. As you wishing to be the apple of somebody's eye, was I supposed to be the next in line to be that guy? And if I am, what happens after this? I can't be held accountable for your happiness or you for mine. But who decides the proper time to settle down? I mean, honestly, who can vouch and say they got this love shit figured out?